evening, it's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adisawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabor.
And I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Let's bring you the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Tonight, minority in parliament demands reinstatement of more than 100 staff employed in 2024 by the Bank of Ghana.
Police rescue victim in viral video subjected to hanging and severe beating by 27-year-old man.
Also coming up, University of Ghana community records suspected cases of COVID-19 as Health Directorate cautions the public to be vigilant.
In business news, Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors accused National Petroleum Authority of defying presidential directive as it warns of fuel price hikes over Tema Port berthing disputes.
On the international front, U.S. President Donald Trump lashes out at Israel and Iran, accusing both sides of violating the ceasefire. We always love to hear from you on the many stories we have for you tonight. Let's get into the details.
The Ghana Police Service in the Half Assini Division has arrested Issa Moro, 58, and Suleiman Abdul Rashid, 27, for subjecting a 12-year-old boy to severe beatings in a viral video. In the video, the two men are seen to have hanged the boy with a rope tied to a roof and subjecting him to severe caning for allegedly stealing 200 Ghana cedis. The boy pleaded for mercy and was beaten hard by a male adult. The victim will occasionally rest his leg on a mud thatch building when he obviously became tired from the prolonged hanging. After the beating, a middle-aged man came to smear a substance many believe to be ginger or pepper around his body and genitals. The incident is said to have happened in the New Ankasa community near Elubu in the Western region. The suspects are currently in police custody, assisting with investigations. Meanwhile, the boy who was rescued by the police has since been handed over to his father after receiving medical treatment. Let's now see what the law says about child rights in Ghana. So according to the Children's Act 1998, Act 560, that according to the welfare principle, the best interest of the child shall be the primary consideration by any court, a person, institution, or other body in any matter concerned with a child. Let's move on to the protection from torture and degrading treatment, like what happened to the 12-year-old boy. No correction of a child is justifiable if it is unreasonable in kind or degree, having regard to the age, physical condition, or mental condition of the child. And furthermore, no correction is justifiable if the child, by reason of tender age or otherwise, is incapable of understanding the purpose of the correction. In clause 3, it says, a child shall not be subjected to torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishments. That according to the 1992 Constitution, Article 28, that's the Children's Rights Section, clause 3. Let's speak to the Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah. Mr. Appiah, thank you so much for your time. Let me get your initial reaction upon watching the brutal treatment of this 12-year-old boy. Hello, Mr. Appiah. Yes.
Yeah, it's a bad one, and there's no way that we can use to justify what happened. I think that is a clear violation of a child's right. and disrespect for their dignity and how the law requires that we should treat them. And we have also disregarded that what the law says about the welfare of children.
How does this incident reflect the broader issues of child rights and protection in this country?
Well, it's for people to do this to the level in which they've done, they did. I think that it shows that there's a lot of work that we need to do, and people still are not at the level where they would respect the right of children and even acknowledge that there are laws that protect children. For that matter, if you touch a child, the law will come after you. So people still feel that they can do anything with a child and go scot-free. And that, for me, it's not really good for people to still have that kind of mentality that when it's about a child, they can decide what they want to do. And if you're looking at the circumstances surrounding this particular case, these are people who were not directly involved in the life of the child. These are people who the offense itself has nothing to do with them. But for them to muster the courage to administer some of these things to the child shows that generally we lack that respect that we need to give to children.
We lack that respect that needs to be given to children. Now, in correcting children, what steps must be taken to promote positive discipline methods, and what alternative punishment methods could have been deployed in this scenario?
It is clear in our legislations. One of the things that the law talks about has to do with the fact that if a child does something and it deviates from the normal thing that the law expects the child should do, the child must be subjected to rehabilitation and maintenance. And the level of the offense or whatever the child has done that has called for the kind of punishment or the discipline must go through that rehabilitation program. So that program must be in such a way that, or the outcome of that program is to ensure that the child comes to believe in the normal way of life that is expected of every child, or what a child is supposed to do at a particular point in time. So that is the kind of discipline that we need to provide. And that discipline is to reform the child, is to give the child another opportunity to say that, yes, I've done this, I've done that, and for that matter, okay, this is what needs to be done, and these are the kind of punishment that we need to give to the child. But if it's about causing harm to the body of a child, that you cannot classify that as disciplinary action, and what they did cannot even be classified under. This is a tortious act that has been committed against the child, and you cannot just look at it and say that we should just look at the context of discipline and punishment. This is way above these two definitions.
Bright, thank you so much for your time. Bright Appiah, Executive Director of Child Rights International.
Let's turn our attention to health stories now. And the Health Service Directorate of the University of Ghana has cautioned the university community of a recent resurgence in COVID-19 cases, with a few suspected and confirmed cases reported in the university's immediate vicinity. The University Health Service Directorate noted that in light of the development, all staff, students and visitors are strongly advised to remain vigilant and to strictly adhere to the following recommended preventive measures to reduce the risk of infection or community spread. And we'll take you through some of the key issues the university is asking, which will include that they're advising people to wear face masks properly, especially in enclosed or crowded spaces, wash hands frequently with soap and running water, or use alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Again, they need to maintain physical distancing of at least 1 meter where possible. And they are also advised to avoid large gatherings unless absolutely necessary. The advisory also goes on to say they need to ensure good ventilation in offices, lecture halls, and meeting rooms. Stay at home if you experience any flu-like symptom and seek prompt medical attention. The Health Service Directorate has also reactivated its COVID-19 response protocols, including screening measures at health facilities, while it monitors the situation closely for regular updates. Well, not necessarily we need not to cause fear and panic, but again, looks like the COVID days that we all experienced a few years ago seem to be creeping back. Why is that? Let's engage Dr. Frank Dodo, who is a public health specialist at the police hospital. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us on TV3.
Yeah, good evening and good evening to your viewers.
Could this resurgence be as a result of an influx of students from different places around the country, or probably who traveled outside Ghana and are coming in? Are we able to trace, to tell where these new reported cases are coming from?
Yeah, thank you. And most of this, if you want to trace, then we have to look at the data. If we are picking data as our ports of entry, it may give us an indication that it may be an external influx. But sometimes it's also as a result of maybe our heightened alertness, because those of us who are in the health facilities and are minded to investigate some of these cases know that COVID is not over with altogether. It's just that because of the information we have about its management, we don't create too much noise about it. So yes, if you search for it, you may find. And I'm sure maybe at this moment the university has put in some measures to search maybe through the symptoms that people were presenting one way or the other to their health facility.
Doc, would you say that COVID really never left us? It was not completely eliminated and could still be active amongst some people?
Exactly. So that is really has been the case. So even at the point when we had lowered our protocols somehow, maybe with some of the restrictions taken off, it wasn't because we were saying COVID was over and done with, but it was more of what initial measures had been put in place to mitigate the impact even if one got infected. So at some point, because of the new information and knowledge we had about the COVID virus, it became a bit more convenient and comfortable to be able to manage that disease. And of course, the introduction of the vaccines, also we were able to experience less of the very critical complications from the infection. So all of these and other factors came together for us to have what really looked like a normalcy when it came to COVID infection in the country.
The university has issued a number of guidelines to protect those within the community, but this is a university space where lecture rooms are most often crowded, halls where students reside have a number of people almost always around. How would you advise they go about managing this resurgence of COVID-19?
All right, so the university is a community on its own, and they are able to use certain measures to manage the situation. So I'm very happy at what they have published. And first of all, I would want to encourage the general public that this is not an alert to create fear and panic among people, but it's just for us to be mindful of what we need to do extra to keep ourselves safe. So as an university community, it's a good indication for the alert they have given. And like you rightly said, because of the sheer numbers that are on the university campuses, it poses a bit of a challenge for them. But in most of these public health interventions, it's usually about education and creating that awareness amongst people, so that if people have the symptoms, they are careful not to expose every other person around them, and then seek early measures of intervention or treatment from the health facilities. Of course, in all of these, to gathering the helpful for us to know what extra intervention needs to be instituted, just in case they need are unable to help us control the situation. It may get to a point where, because of the data and information that we're able to generate from it, we may have to include the general public health response team from the Ministry of Health, depending on how the data is to all that we are able to find.
Right. Dr. Frank Dodu, thank you so much for speaking to us. And like you indicated, we all need to be mindful of where we go and what we do. He is a public health specialist at the police hospital.
Let's now go to Parliament, where the Minority Caucus says it will deploy every legal, parliamentary and democratic tool at its disposal until all 100 staff of the Bank of Ghana whose appointments were terminated are reinstated. The minority describes the act of the central bank as a breach of the Constitution and a betrayal of its mandate. MP for Savalugu spoke on behalf of the minority.
Article 24 of the 1992 Constitution guarantees every Ghanaian the right to work under fair and satisfactory conditions. Article 23 further requires public institutions to act lawfully and fairly. The Labour Act 2003, Act 651, particularly Section 64 and 65, lays out clear grounds for termination: misconduct, incapacity, or redundancy, none of which apply here. The minority in Parliament stands shoulder to shoulder with these workers, and we will not waver. We demand: 1, the Bank of Ghana must restore every single dismissed worker to their rightful position without any further delay. Their appointments were lawful, their terminations were not. The governor of the Bank of Ghana must face Parliament and explain this heartless abuse of power. You are not above the law, and you will answer to the people. We call on the Chief Labour Officer, the National Labour Commission, and the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shraj, to intervene immediately to protect these workers, uphold their rights, and stop this lawlessness. To the Bank of Ghana, you have broken the law, betrayed your mandates, and wounded the trust of our nation. You cannot hide behind secrecy or power. The people of Ghana are watching, and you will be held to account. To the dismissed workers, you are not forgotten. Your pain is our pain. Your fight is our fight. The minority in Parliament stands with you, heart and soul. We will not rest until your jobs are restored.
Let's now cross over to the House and speak to our parliamentary correspondent, George Queenan. George, thank you so much for your time. Can you give us an update on happenings in the House?
Thank you so much, Portia Gabor. Thanks for having me. Good evening, and we're still coming to you live from Parliament House here in Accra. And today, 3 issues came up for discussion. The very first one was the Minority Caucus having a press briefing on the happening at the Bank of Ghana, where some 100 staff, appointments of these 100 staff have been terminated. And they say this has been condemned. They have 5 demands. And these demands, they want the Bank of Ghana governor hauled before Parliament for some questioning and all that. And the big issue is that the fact that 7 nominees appointed by the president have been approved, 7 justices in all who've been appointed to the Supreme Court. And let me just run by you the names of these justices. We have Justice Senyo Jamapa, we have Justice Dennis Dominic J, and Justice Bill Simon Subera, Justice Philip Bright Mensah, and the others are Justice Jampare Battels Kojo, Justice Afisata Amalolo Baba, and Justice Kweku Teria Akabwafo. So these justices have been approved by Parliament by majority decision to be appointed to the Supreme Court. And so the president has the go-ahead to continue with all the proceedings. But this did not come with the usual. It came up with the usual backlash and all that. So the minority did not really approve it. For them, the majority is going against their own principles, where they even questioned when the president what's his name? When the president Nana Akufo-Addo also appointed some justices, and they said in terms of qualifications and credentials, they didn't have it. And so why are they also, also in the same way questioning them? So this is what really came up in Parliament today. And so all these justices have been approved by Parliament as it stands now. Portia Gabor.
Now, George, there was also the debate about reinstating July 1 as a public holiday. Did this come up?
Yeah, so it really came out. It was also the third one. And so the Public Holidays and Commemorative Days Amendment Bill 2025 was read for first time in Parliament. But the minority said because the bill was presented and was not indicated that it should be an urgency to amend the statutory holiday, it was boycotted. And so the Speaker ruled that it should be sent to the relevant committee for that to be heard and later brought to Parliament. So when the right committee goes through this and then it's done, that is when we know exactly whether it will be, stated as a public holiday. Until that is done, July 1 is not a holiday.
George, thank you so much for your time. And George Queenan reporting live from Parliament.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. Let's shift our attention to politics now. And the race for the leadership in Ghana's Ghana's main opposition, the New Patriotic Party, is heating up with 5 prominent figures now jostling for the NPP's 2025 presidential nomination. The presidential primaries, still months away, is already generating tension, intrigue, and sharp political commentary as candidates stake their claim to the party's future. Judith Brown has more.
At the heart of the contest is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Ghana's former vice president and the NPP's 2024 presidential candidate. While he lost the national election to John Dramani Mahama, Bawumia remains the front-runner, commanding wide support from grassroots members and influential figures across the NPP hierarchy. He's not alone in the race. Also vying for the slot are Kennedy Ejapon, the outspoken former MP for Asin Central, Dr. Asiedu-Dartey, the former education minister, rumored to be the former president's new favorite, Dr. Brian Champon, once the Minister for Food and Agriculture, and known to have a deep pocket, and former Energy Minister, Wache Jaku, the reformist. Each of these aspirants bring a different set of ideas to the table, but the competition is already beginning to expose deep rifts within the party.
Those who matter in the party that have to know the causes of our defeat, we don't.
Kennedy Ejapon has launched a fiery campaign questioning why leadership of the party will organize presidential primaries before diagnosing the actual causes of their 2024 electoral defeat.
If you don't solve those problems, you can bring Jesus Christ as your presidential candidate. Even from today, we're still not going to make it.
He also raised eyebrows with his comments about regional voting dynamics, warning that having multiple candidates from northern Ghana could fracture the NPP's traditional support base. But Dr. Bawumia isn't backing down. In a powerful show of internal strength, he recently secured the endorsement of over 220 metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives. Speaking at the gathering, Bawumia was confident, declaring that he has rich ideas. While Dr. Bawumia and Kennedy Ejapon appear to be the clear two front-runners, Wache Jaku, also in the race, seems to be among those unhappy about early elections. As candidates crisscross the country building support, calls for unity are also growing louder. Dr. Brian Champon has called on the party to unite towards a common purpose, the 2028 election, declaring boldly that he wasn't in the race to test the waters, but for power.
MPP people, I beg you. I believe in, say, the party will win the election again. But if we come together, make the party stand united, make we win.
And for Dr. Asiedu-Dartey, he's ready to lead.
Humility, conviction, and a resolute heart. I, Dr. Asiedu-Dartey, declare my intent to run for the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party when nominations are officially opened by the party.
While the stakes remain high, it's left to be seen how all will pan out within the party in the coming months. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
In more news tonight, the National Identification Authority's office in Kumasi, usually packed with long queues, was quiet Tuesday morning. Public Services Workers Union members of the NIA have laid down their tools, demanding an operational support allowance. The strike has left hundreds of applicants stranded. Ibrahim Abubakar was at the regional office to gauge the impact.
For most applicants, the Ghana card is more than just an ID. It is a key to accessing critical services like jobs, bank accounts, and education opportunities. With services halted, frustration was obvious among those who were racing against time to acquire a service with the card. Today was supposed to fix a crucial error on Asiedu-Dartey Ghana card, one that's blocking his national service registration. Instead, he found no one at the office to help him.
I have spelling mistake on my Ghana card, and I was directed to come here. I came here, that was 2 days ago. So, and I was asked to come back with my school certificates. I didn't hear anything about any strike going on. So that's why I'm here this morning, but only to be told that they are on strike. We're just about to start our national service, and they are requiring this Ghana cards as part of our documentation. So if I don't get it on time, it's going to affect me.
Augustina, a university student, is unable to access a mobile money account because reactivation requires a Ghana card.
Came here yesterday for it, but due to the network system, they couldn't do it, so they told me to come this morning. And this morning when I came to, they said that they are on strike, which yesterday they did not tell me anything. So right now I'm confused on why yesterday they did not tell us that they were going on strike.
For 62-year-old Sarah, the strike is more than an inconvenience. It is a 6-month battle to access her late husband's pension, stalled by a documentation error only the NIA can fix. The Public Services Workers Union of the NIA division insist they won't budge without their allowances. But for these applicants, every person means lost opportunities, missed deadlines, and fading hope. For most of the applicants who came to the NIA office this morning, this strike isn't just an inconvenience, it is a roadblock to their future. And for that matter, they want government to swiftly intervene and ensure that the workers resume their services. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
And from the Ashanti region, let's go to the Western region, where 2 people have been arrested and 1 person hospitalized following clashes between youth of Abuesi on one hand and Shama on the other, and in Chaban on the other, I should say, all in the Shama municipality of the Western region. Rama Smith reports that there is police presence currently in these communities where tensions are high.
There's tension brewing here at Shama. I'm basically here in the Shama district, and interestingly, 3 communities under the Shama paramountcy. I'm talking about Intraban, I'm talking about Abuesi, and then Shama itself. The youth are fighting each other. One group had apparently gone on a float, and there had been an altercation, and this altercation had resulted in a fight, with some sustaining various degrees of injuries, as we are being told. And then another group also was brought into the midst. So 3 communities currently fighting. And this morning, we have been to Abuesi community, which sees itself as the victim, because they tell us that they had gone on a float to Shama and they were attacked. And then their people were also attacked by youth from Inchaban. And even as we were in the community, the leadership was trying to calm tempers, and then we got information that some youth of Inchaban has also blocked the road.
We should be very careful, right? Very careful.
It is interesting to know that Abuesi is like a landlocked community. When they need to get out, they either have to pass through Inchaban or Shama. So one of the outlets is Inchaban, which had been blocked. And we have seen traders, school children, and even drivers saying that they have been attacked. Some elders have tried to broker peace, but those in Shama are adamant and keep on attacking the Abuesi people, including school children. 2 of our church members who went to work at Shama yesterday were assaulted. They had to return. So we are pleading. All we want is peace. I believe that is why the police came here. And as we came to meet the youth who have blocked the road and throwing stones at oncoming vehicles. And 2 people have so far been arrested.
So we'll keep tabs on that development and keep you posted subsequent bulletins. Now, Ghana and Eswatini have jointly signed a memorandum of understanding for the establishment of a joint cooperation. On a state visit by the King Mswati III, both President John Mahama and the King have agreed to enhance trade relations between the two countries.
Born Makositive Dlamini on 19th April 1969, Mwanyama of Eswatini is the head of the former Swazi royal family. Heading an absolute monarchy in the Southern African Kingdom, Mswati III is on a state visit to Ghana under the auspices of the Santehene Otumfuo Tutu, arriving shortly on Tuesday and received at the Jubilee Lounge by the Chief of Staff and other senior government officials. He then proceeded to the seat of government, where he inspected a guard of honor mounted. After exchanging pleasantries, both leaders headed for the credentials.
Your visit and the bilateral discussion that will take place after will form the framework for the cooperation that exists between our two countries. So I'm sure you're going to have quite an interesting visit to the Asante Kingdom. But I wish to warmly welcome you and the Queen and your delegation to Ghana.
The King expressed appreciation for the show of courtesies to the Kingdom of Eswatini. Trade ties between the two countries is on the front burner.
We are looking forward to see the people of this country and to exchange a lot of information. We have a lot in common, especially when it comes to culture, lifestyles, and so on. We can share a lot of ideas could be developed. Because if you look at the trade within Africa, you can see that it is very limited when it comes to culture, lifestyles, and so on. We can share, be developed, because it's very high.
The two countries, represented by their foreign ministers, jointly signed a memorandum of understanding for joint cooperation. The King will be in Ghana for 4 days, where he will be hosted by the Santehene Otumfuo Tutu. He will also be at the Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
We have business news coming up shortly. Don't go away.
Time now for business on News 360, and Michael is with us. Hello, Michael.
Hi, guys.
So clearly the conversation still continues on the aftermath of the war in the Middle East, isn't
Exactly. And, interestingly, the price of fuel could have been lower at the pumps, according to the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. However, they say because of the challenges with clearing nets at the ports, that's why we are experiencing it, what we are seeing now.
Okay.
So hopefully they get answers soon.
Right.
All right, then to the details now. Hello there, good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors is up in arms about what it calls a blatant violation of the President's directive on petroleum products. It warns that recent actions by the National Petroleum Authority could derail Ghana's fuel supply framework and saddle consumers with more pump price hikes.
The Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors is accusing the National Petroleum Authority of undermining the country's fuel import system and flouting a direct order from the President. In a strongly worded statement, the Chamber said the MPA's authorization for the berthing of the vessel MT Malin Ametrine on June 23rd goes against the approved Lacan import schedule and a presidential directive communicated through the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. The Chamber says the move disrupts an import timetable designed to stabilize prices and ensure fuel security, adding that frequent unsanctioned changes over 11 in the first half of this year have cost importers more than $40 million in demurrage and related charges, with the cost trickling down to consumers.
We are all aware about the disruption that currently Dangote has created within the Nigerian for other suppliers. They would want to use your doorsteps because they see an opportunity to come and dump the product here. And more so, when you have officialdom aiding such illicit practice to allow them to berth and discharge, it gives them the impetus for you to disrupt the already established one that kept the country going when the Russia and Ukraine was there.
The Chamber has petitioned the ministry to intervene immediately and restore discipline in the petroleum import regime.
Have plummeted following U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement of a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran. According to Trump, the accord aims to bring an end to the recent hostilities between the two nations.
Brent crude oil, the global oil benchmark, has dropped significantly after testing $81 per barrel overnight. It has fallen below $70 per barrel, with about a 7% decline observed in the past 24 hours. The conflict between Israel and Iran escalated recently, with Israel targeting Iranian nuclear sites and Iran retaliating with missile strikes. The situation became even more concerning, with Iran's parliament voting to close the Strait of Hormuz, a critical route in global oil supply. Local analysts have projected about an 8 to 10% increase in fuel prices at the local pumps in the next pricing window scheduled for the first week of July 2025. The geopolitical tensions had prompted government to suspend its controversial energy sector recovery levy, which aimed to add a cedi to a litre of fuel at the pumps to address the country's energy sector challenges. However, the recent decrease in crude prices might offset any expected hike in prices at the pumps if the cedi maintains its stability against the dollar, with Ghanaians enjoying possible price cuts in the second pricing window of July 2025.
The Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology says Ghana stands to save approximately 6 billion Ghana cedis each year if it effectively manages the use of single-use plastics. The comments follow President John Dramani Mahama's announcement of a plan to ban the importation and production of styrofoam, citing its significant role in environmental pollution.
Speaking at the 5th edition of the 2025 Environmental Sustainability Summit organized by the Business and Financial Times, Sector Minister Murtala Ibrahim Mohammed expressed concern that the country currently recycles less than 10% of its over 1 million kilograms of plastic waste.
almost 6 billion. If you are able to do some of the things, and you may describe that as an ambitious thing, because man, you will generate about 1.1 million tons, kilograms of plastics a year, 1.1 million. And we can only be able to get about half of it. More than half, we are not able to collect. And even the about half that we collect, we only recycle 9% of the about half. That is where do they end up.
He further revealed that the government is in discussions with local plastic manufacturers to explore eco-friendly alternatives suited for the domestic market. The minister reaffirmed government's commitment to working with the private sector to create policies that are both environmentally sustainable and economically inclusive.
We are not just going to say we're going to ban, and as part of the processes of getting alternatives where we can assist our local, plastic producers to divert from either the direct use of plastics in the productions that they have, in the items that ensures our urban convenience, we'll do it with them. We will not just do it in isolation.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next, the sports.
She's coming. She's
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. 3 years ago, Emmanuel Esiam's name was on the lips of many after securing a move to FC Basel following brilliant performances at the Under-20 AFCON with the Black Satellites. Deemed one of Ghana's brightest prospects, he's gone under the radar in the last 3 years, but is hopeful of finding that spark once again. My colleague Billy Shen explores his rise, struggles, and targets ahead of next season.
Emmanuel Esiam's move to Swiss side FC Basel in early 2022 made headlines on Ghana's media landscape. Along with teammates like Abdul Fattah Isahaku and Daniel Barnier, Esiam was one of the first names of Abdul Karim Zito's team sheets at the Under-20 AFCON in 2021, leading Ghana to the trophy. Esiam was also consistent at Brecum Chelsea, delivering exceptional performances in the Ghana Premier League. The midfielder was set to take European football by storm, but shortly after joining the club, he had an injury setback that kept him out of the team for 268 days. When he eventually made his return, he had lost his place in the squad.
It took really long, almost a year out. So when I came back, there was a lot of difficulties and challenges, and there was a lot of coach being changing. So it's been tough though.
Emmanuel joined fellow Swiss side Stade Lausanne Ochi in September 2023, making just 2 starts and 7 league appearances overall before returning to Basel. In the 2024-25 campaign, he battled injuries again, spending just 20 minutes on the pitch for his parent club. He needed game time, and second-tier Swiss side Aarau came calling with a loan deal in January 2025. The 21-year-old played 11 out of 18 games after joining and feels it was the best possible decision.
I was happy with the minutes I got because I needed to get back to my form again. So the loan really helped me a lot, and I got my rhythm back, and yeah, it felt good.
Esiam has 3 years left on his current deal and is returning to Basel with a point to prove. Hopeful of a fully fit season, the central midfielder has made crucial learnings from his previous injury woes.
For me, the biggest lesson is first of all taking care of your body, because if you're injured, it's like you get frustrated and everything doesn't matter anymore. And it's like trying to be professional as always. Anything you eat, how you walk, how you move around, it really counts. And it's like your training also and your recovery session. For me, it's like everything that helps to prevent injuries is the best lesson in football.
The mission is clear: to reclaim his rhythm, rewrite his story, and prove that the promise he showed in Mauritania wasn't a flicker, but the start of a flame that still burns bright.
Well, let's move on to a former Ghanaian footballer who has already written his story and continues to do more, and that's Michael Essien, who has signed a new 2-year contract extension with Danish Superliga side FC Nordsjælland, committing his future to the club until at least 2027. Essien has been an integral part of the club's technical team since joining in 2020, initially as a player coach before transitioning into full-time coaching, where he's helped with player development. Well, news just coming in is that French giants Lyon have been relegated to Ligue 2 following their financial crisis. Lyon's eviction from Ligue 1 to Ligue 2 comes after severe financial crisis, with the French outfit burdened by massive debts of over 500 million euros. Well, that's a developing story that you can get updates on our social media handles at 3SportsGH on 3News4/sports. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and that's how we wrap up the sports segment here.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by GTP, Lifestyle, and Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, powered by 3 Entertainment.
Tonight in this segment, this year's Emancipation Day and PANAFest celebrations will be held on the theme, Let Us Speak of Reparative Justice, Pan-African Artistic Activism. The 2-week-long annual event will focus on telling the often overlooked story of slavery and the global convergence of memory, identity, resistance, and artistic resilience.
These songs of freedom is all I ever had.
For years, Panafest and Emancipation Day have stood as cornerstone events on Ghana's tourism calendar, honoring the economic, social, cultural, and spiritual legacies of freedom fighters throughout history. The festival has also served as a platform to promote African unity, proudly showcasing Ghana's rich cultural heritage and telling the African story from the African perspective.
This year's Panafest is to resonate deeply with the soul of both the indigents and the diaspora, and with the urgent need for a united African voice. A voice that does not only remember, but speaks, heals, creates, and reclaims.
This year's 14-day celebration, running from July 17 to August 2, will feature a wide range of activities, including live performances, artist workshops, exhibitions, and heritage site visits under the theme, Let Us Speak of Reparative Justice, Pan-African Artistic Activism. Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Ablaji Fagomashi, emphasized the importance of the event, highlighting its role in fostering global conversations around justice, healing, and Pan-African solidarity.
The Panafest is far more than a festival. It is a spiritual, cultural, and intellectual movement, a platform that repositions Ghana as a homeland for people of African descent seeking reconnection, healing, and a shared sense of purpose and dignity. This year's celebration carries even deeper significance. Against the backdrop of global racial tensions, renewed calls for reparative justice, and the growing reclamation of African identity, Ghana stands resolute in championing a new African narrative through the Black Star experience.
Professor A.C. Sutherland Adi is the board chairperson of the Panafest Foundation.
We say it is way past time for reparative justice to be spoken about so that our people will stand up and reclaim the justice, not as victims, but as people who understand the worth of what they have contributed to the world and even more.
Time now for international news.
U.S. President Donald Trump has lashed out at Israel and Iran, accusing both sides of violating the ceasefire. Israel said it has hit an Iranian radar, but has refrained from further attacks after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to Trump. Iran's president says Tehran will respect the truce provided Israel does not break it. The terms of the ceasefire remain unclear and its status remains fragile but in place for now. Trump has meanwhile arrived at the NATO summit where he'll meet world leaders. Mali and Russia have signed a series of agreements aimed at expanding mutual trade and strengthening economic ties. Among them is a pledge for greater cooperation on nuclear energy, according to details released by the Kremlin. The announcement of the deals came during a visit by Mali's junta leader, Colonel Assimi Goïta, to Moscow, which included 2 hours of talks with President Vladimir Putin.
And that's it for our package. Thank you so much for watching. At 9 p.m. though, join Beatrice Edu with her panelists to discuss issues about Ghana on Agenda.
Also join Alfredo Kansa at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. I am Portia Gabor. Good evening.